Dark Souls 3 is an amazing game rich with lore, and I think it wraps up the Dark Souls trilogy perfectly. So today we're going to go over the story briefly in case you haven't played the game or just want to revisit. The story follows the Ashen One, an undead who failed to link the flame in the past and became Ash. The Ashen One is awakened by the Bell of Awakening. The Ashen One's mission is to find and return the 5 Lords of Cinder, who are powerful beings who linked the fire in previous cycles. The 5 Lords of Cinder are Ludlith, the Abyss Watchers, Yorm the Giant, Aldrich, and Lothric. The Ashen One then goes on their journey to defeat the Lords of Cinder and anyone who stands in their way. Starting off with Gundyr, who was destined to link the flame, but arrived late to Firelink Shrine with no sign of a firekeeper or a coiled sword. Gundyr was challenged by an unknown warrior and became a sheath for the coiled sword. After this, he would test the worthiness of unkindled ones. Most of the bosses have an intriguing backstory like this, but to save time, we are only going to focus on the Lords of Cinder. Let's start off with Ludlith. He is a small and frail undead who calls himself a pygmy and practices the art of soul transposition. He is the only Lord of Cinder who willingly remains at his throne in Firelink Shrine and offers his assistance to the Ashen One. The Abyss Watchers are a group of undead warriors who fight against the Abyss, a dark and corrupting force that threatens the world. They are inspired by the legendary knight Artorias, who sacrificed himself to stop the Abyss. The Abyss Watchers eventually succumb to the very thing they sought to destroy. They become corrupted by the Abyss. The Abyss Watchers are now locked in an endless cycle of fighting and killing each other until the Ashen One arrives to challenge them. Aldrich was a devourer of gods. He was a former cleric of the Way of White who became obsessed with consuming human flesh and souls. He eventually turned into a monstrous sludge of rot and corruption. He founded the Church of the Deep, a cult that worships the Dark Abyss. When the Ashen One faces him, he's in the middle of consuming the god Gwendolyn and used his body and powers to fight against the Ashen One. Yorm the Giant was a noble and powerful ruler of the profaned capital. He was a descendant of an ancient conqueror, but he was asked by the people he once subjugated to lead them and protect them. He was a loyal and courageous leader who gave his subjects a sword that could slay him if he ever betrayed them. He also befriended Sigurd of Katarina, a knight who swore to end his suffering if he were to ever return to life. Yorm sacrificed himself to link the fire and stop the profane flame, a mysterious and destructive force that consumed human flesh. However, he was resurrected by the Bell of Awakening and he refused to link the fire again. He was eventually slain by the Ashen One with the help of Sigurd, who fulfilled his promise to his friend. Lothric, the younger prince, is the youngest son of King Osiris and Queen Guinevere and the heir to the kingdom of Lothric. He was destined to become a Lord of Cinder. Essentially, he was born to die, but he rejected his fate and chose to let the fire fade. He was influenced by a scholar who doubted the linking of the fire and learned powerful sorceries from him. He remained in his throne room with his brother, Lorien, until the Ashen One came to return him to his duty. Along the way, the Ashen One encounters various characters, some of whom offer assistance and guidance, and some of whom have their own agendas and quests, such as the Firekeeper, a blind woman who tends the Firelink Shrine and serves as your level-up lady. This is no different than the first 2 Dark Souls games. Henri is a knight of Astora who is hunting down Aldrich with their companion Horus. Both Henri and Horus are survivors who escaped the grasp of Aldrich. Sigurd, aka Onion Bro, is a jolly knight who has to keep his promise with Yorm and has possibly the best quest line in Dark Souls 3. Greyrat is a thief who risks his life to scavenge for items and is one of the most memorable NPCs in my opinion. And Yuria is a leader of the Sable Church of Londor who wants the Ashen One to become the Lord of Hollows. While there are many characters found throughout the game, I think this list contains a majority of the most memorable and important characters. Once all the Lords of Cinder are defeated and returned to their thrones, the Ashen One must defeat the Soul of Cinder, a manifestation of the previous Lords of Cinder. After defeating the Soul of Cinder, there are 4 possible endings. To link the first flame ending is where the Ashen One links the flame but the flame remains weak. This is a default ending you will get without doing anything extra. The End of Fire ending, the Ashen One gives the eyes of the Firekeeper to the Firekeeper and summons her after defeating the Soul of Cinder. The Firekeeper takes the flame and lets it fade, ushering in an Age of Dark. The Ash Seeketh Embers ending, a variation of the End of Fire ending, where the player kills the Firekeeper before the flame fades and takes the flame for themselves, offering it to the Dark Sun. The Usurpation of Fire ending is the most complicated ending to get. The Ashen One has to follow the complex questline involving Yol of Londor, Henri of Astora, and Yuria. The player becomes the Lord of Hollows and usurps the flame, becoming a Dark Lord. And that is the end of Dark Souls 3. I plan to do a brief overview of all the stories of the Soulsborne games and deep dives into the lore of different characters, locations, etc. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.